Hey, what's up? I'm CZG123, and this is another page from Stories of Old New York. Today's story involves my grandmother taking me to see a dead body. So if you like this story and you dig what's happening here, please go ahead and follow, subscribe, like, whatever the things you do, share. But yeah, as you know, I'm doing this series so I don't forget all these wild stories that I've experienced growing up in Manhattan. So I was maybe in 5th grade, and my grandmother growing up and I were very close. She was like my best friend, you know? And my parents would be out working and stuff, so my grandma would pick me up, bring me to school, hang out with me, that kind of thing. So anyways, I'm in 5th grade. We're walking home from school on the Upper West Side, and there's like a big commotion on the corner, right on Edgar Allan Poe. Shout out to Edgar Allan Poe. I think that's 83rd and West End Avenue. Anyways, there's like a body on the corner, face down, with a blanket over where the proportion of the body is just covered up by a blanket. And there are all these people just like standing around. And of course my grandmother gets a scoop. Apparently someone jumped from the building, and this was their body. Right? So, big crowd, and it's just kind of weird because they're just kind of staring at this lifeless body with a blanket over it. And I look off to my left, and in the middle of the street, like when you're crossing the street there, are the person's brains. The person's brains are in there. Meanwhile, my grandma's like schmoozing, talking to everyone. What floor did he jump from? Were they upset? Like, I don't know what she was doing. She was like taking a poll, asking people all sorts of questions. And I can't stop staring at the brains. There's like, it's like the brains are in the street. And they're kind of intact, or as intact they could possibly be from jumping from the top of the building. But anyways, I'm focused on the brains, and a couple other people are also looking at the brains, right? So you have a choice. You can look at the body, the dead body with the blanket over its upper portion, or you can stare at the brains that are in the street. Oh my gosh. So my grandmother's schmoozing, and then I notice a bicycle goes through the brains, right down through the brains, and everyone's like, no, no! And as the bicyclists approach, they're like, what? And both wheels go right through the brains. And everyone's like, oh, there's like a collective, oh. And I swear to you, not more than maybe, felt like 2 minutes later, there's an old lady crossing the street and approaching the brains. And everyone's like, no, 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 look out, look out. And she looks around, she has no idea what anyone's talking about. And she stepped in the brains and just kept walking, like looked at her shoe as though it were like, like what was that I stepped in? Brains, you just stepped in brains, lady. So a bicycle went through this person's brains, an old lady stepped on the brains, EMS finally shows up, right? And now the crowd is bigger. But my grandma and I have like great standing position. Like we get to where we are, because she's smart like that. She knows, she's in the mix, we're in the mix. We're like there with everyone, and we're able to see everything that's going on. EMS shows up, and they make the grave mistake of removing the friggin' blanket. I've never seen everyone do the same thing in unison before, other than like maybe the wave at a baseball game. But there was a collective turn away and like moan, like oh, like that. I looked, there was no head. There was like no head. And of course my grandmother and I did not turn away for some reason. I don't know. Very morbid. But I think my grandmother was like, oh, Jesus. And I was shocked myself. I just could not believe it. And then as quickly as they removed the blanket, they put the blanket right over, because they're like, oh crap, like what? Like no. So what they had to do, and we watched the process, they brought the stretcher over, and they were able to put this headless body onto the stretcher, and then take the stretcher and put it on the back of the EMS. And then once it was on the EMS truck and they went away, my grandmother takes me by the hand. She goes, okay, come on. So, yeah, that's my grandmother taking me to see a dead body. Mind you, she was the one that was like, she was the one that's like, let's go see what's going on, you know? And as we approached, the crazy thing was, it's like we saw that it was a person, you know what I mean? Like, and it's so fascinating and funny to me that my grandmother did nothing to protect me from this scene. She just was like, we're checking this out. Yes, I see legs too, but we're gonna go look. So, props to my grandmother for checking that out, I guess. I don't know. It's just another story from old New York. Shout out to my grandmother, rest in peace. And shout out and happy birthday to my mom.